someone has died. Cindy, the ultimate fangirl, who was most known for her her admiration of Spider-Man the musical, has unfortunately passed away when she was trying to recreate the musical in her own bedroom. And it did not go well. It went as well as the actual musical production did. So we're here today because she has left behind her collection of Spider-Man the musical memorabilia, so shirts, hats, specialty programs, a nice golden wristwatch with the word Spidey Man printed on it.
It's not Spider-Man, it says Spidey Man?
It does say Spidey Man. She got it for cheap.
It's pretty rare. Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why we're here today for Cindy, the ultimate Spider-Man the musical fangirl. So why don't we introduce ourselves, learn a little bit about each other. Can we start with you?
Why not? Well, hello. My name is Luann.
Oh no.
I own a cute little bakery shop down on 5th Avenue. I have a confession. I have a bad case of vertigo. I actually met my dear friend Cindy in a support group for this. She was here to plug some Spider-Man the musical thing. I don't know, it was some reverse psychology thing. Anyway, she hired me eventually to be her biographer because I have an English degree, you see. I don't get to use it very much, being the owner of a bakery.
Preach.
I think that I deserve this Spider-Man memorabilia, and I'll tell you why. I have like 20 rabbits at home. I bought them, I thought they were boys, but, well, you know. I would love to create for my little rabbits a Spider-Man home where they can swing, where they can play, and where they can truly feel at one with the Spidey-Man. And to honor my dear friend Cindy's memory.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, now can we move on to you?
Well, nice to meet all of you. My name's Bruce. Have you ever seen that film Looper? You know,
yes.
Starring Bruce Willis, where he goes back in time.
Is that you?
It's not quite me, but in the same respect, I also too am, in fact, all's well from the future. Much like Bruce Willis, for which I was named after in preparation for going back to the past, like Bruce Willis. Unfortunately, I emerged from the future inside the deceased home. What's the name of the deceased again?
Cindy.
Cindy, right, that's important. Now, I emerged within Cindy's home, specifically atop her iguana, which unfortunately resulted in the death of the iguana. Now, I am here, in fact, because for your name, of course, which I remember. Exactly. I have thoroughly. I have to be honest. It's possible I've seen your Facebook profile before, with what primitive technology exists in this time period, and I frankly discovered that I, being in the future, truly do know what is this vertigo, which you've mentioned. Right?
What are the
odds? And I can tell you that were you to get this Spider-Man memorabilia, it would inspire you, and you specifically, to shoot from the heavens as if you were Spider-Man between buildings, which would give you vertigo and death. If you win, you will die. You're welcome. Future.
Okay. Thank you.
That was inspiring.
Last but not least.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Lester. I am an antique collector, which means that I truly understand the value of things like old watches that are misspelled, which gives them more value, you will find, not less. And I think that Cindy really understood the value of objects, and I think that objects are really the most important thing. And so whereas someone like Luann thinks that rabbits are the most important thing, I think it's things.
Luann or Leanne?
And not. Some of us pay attention.
And
That's another thing about being an antique dealer.
attention to detail.
I knew Cindy very well. I was, in fact, her dermatologist, and I noted that she had many strange rashes of excitement every time that Spider-Man the musical came on. And so I really know how important this was to her, and I really literally felt that excitement. often in the form of rashes. So I think I was very close to Cindy physically that way. As an antique dealer, I have many items that I have taken very good care of. In fact, a pearl necklace, which, as you will see, once belonged to a dead person. So you can see that I can take care of dead people's possessions very carefully behind
I
glass.
like that. That's good.
Thank you.
Very compelling.
Whereas I feel like if it was in a home with some
Feels
kind
bad,
of
huh?
small rodent mammal, it would simply be pooped on.
Not my rabbits.
Or iguana stuff. I don't know.
Iguana stomped.
Whereas the only animals in my home are stuffed, such as this stuffed raccoon, Henry, right here. And thank you. And so I would like to point out the spick and span quality of my house and my shop, and the fact that I will keep these treasured mementos clean with the original actor's blood pure on them. That is all.
Okay, well, it's lovely to meet all of you, kind of. We're going to move on to the interrogation round. So everyone can draw another backstory card.
Oh no.
And then we'll start here with Luann. Now, I'm a little concerned. Now, all this Spider-Man memorabilia proved to be the death of Cindy. So I'm a little concerned about the safety of your rabbits if you were to acquire the Spider-Man stuff. What do you think of that?
I would love to respond to this. You see, I also own a Segway, which may seem unrelated. I understand. But let me explain.
Is your vertigo kicking in?
Yeah, it's real bad. It's real bad. All right. I got the Segway. My rabbits have a very large enclosure. There are very many of them. In order to keep this enclosure as safe and clean as possible, I acquired a Segway. Now I can ride through my rabbit's enclosure, pick up any trash, and catch them when they fall. You do not need to worry about the safety of my rabbits. I will use my Segway, much like Paul Blart, to keep them safe. But what I really would like to say is that this is not for my rabbits. My rabbits do not deserve this memorabilia simply for the joy of having it. I think Cindy would want them to have it. We will honor her memory by using this memorabilia, not merely putting it on a shelf to gather dust, make someone else money, but by using it, by swinging on it again, we honor Spider-Man and Cindy.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luann. Wow. Okay. Now, traveler from the future. What was your name again?
Bruce.
Bruce. Bruce Willis?
Not quite.
Okay.
It's Bruce, like Bruce Willis from the film Looper. Full name.
Okay. All right. And
What is your middle name?
Willis.
okay. What is your opinion on Vertigo versus the rest of the Hitchcock filmography?
I have to be completely honest with you. I've yet to see Vertigo or any other Hitchcock film. Films were actually
My
lost
stars.
in the future.
Really?
Yes. Well, you know how old CDs, if you stomp on them like an iguana, would break? Something very similar happened to all films in the year 2120. Which is coincidentally also the time we invented time travel, which is the point of time travel, to go back in time and find out more about our lost films, our lost filmography. That's why I need to get this Spider-Man gear. Because if I don't have it, oh, also, would anyone like a cookie? I forgot to mention, I have cookies for everyone.
That's so
No cookies for you. Have these cookies.
What kind of cookies are they?
Your favorite.
What kind is that?
How did you know?
I just knew. So, I need to bring back this Spider-Man apparel to the future, a future that has no films anymore. That way they can, through this musical apparel, understand what it was like to be in the films, which were alongside the musical and were in fact not the musical.
No, You had a good one.
Which
You
I
had
only
it.
just realized at this moment. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay. And our
Oh, you-
antique collector. So how did you come about Henry, the stuffed raccoon? What is his origin story?
Well, I had a.
I'd just like to point out that this woman right here is clearly drunk. Objection. Go home, you're drunk.
Excuse me, my name is Lester, and I find that
This man Lester. This man Lester is clearly drunk.
I think this man has some observational problems. I don't know how vision works in the future.
General Lester.
Do you
Looks
think
drunk
you
to me.
would have moved?
I should put the beer down for that.
I would just like to say that this person over here seems very unreliable. For example, I think you may have noticed it smells a little strange in here. I think I may feel that emanating from there, and it was definitely not me who just farted, and definitely to your friend Bruce W., etc. To answer your lovely question, Henry was once my dear friend's pet, but after his very sad passing, and the passing of animals is very sad when they die, especially when someone murders them. I think you would understand such a thing.
I do.
He passed on, and I proved to this friend of mine that I would be able to take good care of this Henry after my friend's death, and so in his will arbitration, I was rewarded this stuffed raccoon because will arbitrations tend to go my way.
Objection. I have a letter from Cindy herself, and it did say that she witnessed you murder that raccoon
Ooh,
and
that's
stuff
good.
it yourself for your store.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good objection.
I'd like to hear your response.
To address Luann and the spirit of our dearly departed Cindy, I did in fact stuff this raccoon on the request of my friend because I am good at stuffing animals. And he isn't, since he's a banker, and they don't do that very often.
Only once in a while.
As for your allegations that I may have murdered dear Henry here, I think that in the stuffing process, it might look as though you might, cut the animal open, in fact, cut off its head and just pull all the organs out. It's a messy business. But no, he was already dead. Yeah.
Are you calling Cindy a liar?
I think Cindy's Spider-Man mask tended to slip over her eyes, which you would know if you were a true friend of Cindy's. That's why she would often have rashes around them, and as her dermatologist, I was aware of that.
She had a lot of rashes.
She did.
Poor Cindy.
Poor Cindy.
Poor Cindy.
Well, I think it's time for recess. It's time to, if everyone wants to grab some lunch. And why don't you chat amongst yourselves, ask each other questions.
So I own a bakery. I don't know if I mentioned that. I think I did. It's over on 5th Avenue.
Weird how he brought the cookies then.
Yeah, it seems a little strange.
Hence my question. My question is, if I sold 24 chocolate chip cookies this morning to an anonymous buyer, where did you get 24 chocolate chip cookies minus 2?
Well, I went to the special bakery.
Are we from the same place now?
In the future, your accent changes at will. I'm sorry, I'm just more advanced than you.
Advanced.
Advanced. I went to the special bakery on 6th Avenue.
Is that the one where Leanne works?
Exactly. Leanne.
I love Leanne's bakery.
Which, as you know, at Leanne's Bakery on 6th, she only sells 22 cookie boxes. Her strange 2 dozen minus 2 cookie box. I think I've made my point. Is it my turn to ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Ask a question.
All right. Are you with us? Are you also chilling with us?
Sure, ask me a question.
Okay. I don't want to, though. So, your deal is that you're an antiques collector / murderer, a raccoon murderer, right?
I wouldn't quite phrase it that
Amen.
way.
Amen.
just wondering, what sort of dead animals are you planning on putting all this Spidey-Man stuff on top of? Exactly which animals do you want to turn into Spidey-Man?
Surely
Is
not
it spiders?
I don't think the spiders in my story need help swinging around.
Oh no. This is an image.
I do not think that masks of Spider-Man stuff and weird ropes that we all seem to be talking a lot about, and assuming that's the main memorabilia, belong on animals, since I think that that would suggest some kind of injury for the animals, since that's how the musical went. And I think instead it should be more stored along ancient torture techniques, like this Iron Maiden that I have in my store, if you're interested. I'd give you a special price for no reason in particular.
She is unified as a character.
Your accent's gone.
In the future, it changes. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. This one. Can't pay attention to anything. Couldn't even tell the rabbits' genders. Now she's got like 20 rabbits. Think about it. You think she'd be able to notice
Gender
Spidey-Man's
is
gender?
a social construct. You meant their biological sex, my friend.
Would you even know Spidey's biological sex? Nope.
Okay, I believe you have a question left to ask.
I think I do. All right, Bruce. You say you met the deceased by murdering her iguana and appearing in her home, trespassing, breaking things, etc. How would you characterize your relationship with the deceased after that, and why are you even here if that's the extent of your relationship?
Admittedly, generally wet because I stomped the iguana, blood everywhere. That's how I'd characterize our relationship overall after meeting. Generally wet with blood. But secondarily, I would say what happened is that I lived within the deceased home, but
That's creepy.
in the year 2222, hundreds of years in the future. Time traveling into the past within my own home, specifically within roughly kind of near the closet, but not quite near the entryway. So, you know, you walk in and you're like, whoa, that's an iguana. Anyway, that's where I time traveled. Coming back into the past, I, slightly in the air, fell down and iguana. So, that's how I met the deceased. Afterwards, things were a bit awkward, I admit, for two reasons. One, I was stuck in the iguana's cage. All of me was inside the iguana's cage. She needed to help me out of the cage, which was rough since I just killed her iguana. She wasn't crazy about that, I admit. Secondly,
What was the iguana's name?
Spidey. Secondly, she tried to get me out of the cage by shooting Spidey-Man ropes at it. It took a good 30, 40 tries till that happened. Overall, though, I'd say I'm here simply to get the memorabilia for the future, as previously described. To enlighten the future on what movie stuffs were by these theater stuffs.
How impersonal. Yes, thank you.
Okay, time to move on. Time to move on to the closing statements, so everyone can draw another.
Objection.
Okay.
I know that you met the deceased in a past life.
Ooh, let's see what my relationship was. We were in the same role-playing group. We played the game Fate.
Oh no.
Anyone familiar?
Sounds very boring.
Perhaps a bit.
Fairly.
Seems like it's easy to get too many people involved in your fate game, and then have it all collapse after about
That
4
was
weeks
actually,
in.
so this is a past life, so this was a previous life, and actually died when the game went a little too crazy, and we kind of turned on each other. And that's why I believe that I have been reborn into this life so that I can do justice by Cindy and make sure her stuff goes in the right hands.
Morally speaking, I mean, truly, who here has got the moral upper hand?
I do.
Iguana murderer.
Raccoon murderer.
I think we might have a.
Let's be honest, you might be a rabbit murderer too. There's a lot of those rabbits are gonna eat each other at some point. There's no way your apartment's big enough.
Have I killed an iguana? Have I killed a raccoon? No, I have not.
Objection. As a matter of fact, you once hit a raccoon on the road
Oh my god!
and just kept driving. So I think
Could we revise this previous statement?
I'd love to know what you meant by that, you heartless liar.
Oh my god.
It's true. I did hit poor sweet Pansy in the road. Oh no, Pansy! I haven't driven a day since. I buried her
No,
in
you
my
kept
You
yard.
kept driving.
Oh. But later I came back and I buried her then with a rose plucked from my garden, even though her name was Pansy. Not quite so appropriate now that I think about it.
Okay. I think it's time to move on to closing statements.
Yes.
Everyone draw another backstory card.
That was like a good. That was so well played.
Okay. Now, since you were on such a lovely train of thought, why don't you continue and just give us your final statement?
We've been through a lot today. I want you to know that I bear you no ill will. But I might just have proof that Cindy wanted me to have her Spider-Man memorabilia. You see, 5 years ago, I received a package in the mail. It was an urn of someone's ashes. But whose? I wondered this myself. It was a strange gift. It was signed from Cindy. When I asked her about it, she told me it was Spider-Man himself, the first casualty of Spider-Man the musical. She found him in the morgue. She cremated his body. She took the ashes home, and she sent them to me for safekeeping, hoping that one day they might be reunited with their proper home, the memorabilia that she had amassed over her lifetime. The man's name was Toby, I think. Toby Maguire. Who also starred in Spider-Man the musical. Little known fact, he died so fast that it didn't hit the news. But she sent me these ashes. She did not send her dermatologist these ashes. She didn't send the man who murdered her iguana these ashes. She sent them
close,
to me
though. Almost not
for
I'm sure.
safekeeping. And I have to believe that Cindy would have wanted me to have this. My rabbits and I can honor her memory, can honor Spider-Man by keeping these items alive. Even if Cindy cannot be. Thank you.
Okay.
Honestly.
That's a hard act to follow up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got?
Something just as good. So, we all know how Cindy died, right? Cindy died to Spidey-Man. Spidey-Man himself. In all of Spidey-Man's forms. She died to the way she tried to swing from rooftops, to the way her visor didn't quite cover her eyes well enough since she was not Tobey Maguire, as we all know. If only she was Tobey Maguire. Sir Maguire would have been able to fly, but she couldn't.
He
died.
He died too.
You sure he died that way, or did someone else hit him with a car and then just keep driving? You don't know. Well, so anyway, similar to that, my pet goose man, in the future we have combined men with geese. Who was my pet, my goose man? His name was Luis Guzman.
I would also like to read that.
No, keep going. You gotta keep going.
My- My pet goose man, Luis Guzman, also died from swimming from rooftops, pretending to be Spidey-Man. So I truly think having this memorabilia in the future might stop future Guzmans from dying. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
You're welcome.
Lester?
Well, I think that Bruce gave a very impassioned speech there.
I cried so.
Despite the fact that it seems like the memorabilia would only make it more possible for more goose men and women, since we also must care about the goose women, to die in similar ways.
That is a good counter. A good counterpoint.
And despite your impassioned tears, I believe that your attachment to this memorabilia, though historical, which is lovely, betrays Cindy's purpose, which is to watch people die on a stage and collect their items. And so you might think that would work well for someone else who enjoys watching things die.
Pansy with a rose.
Pansy with a rose, betrayed by the rose. I think that rose shows your inattention to detail.
Yeah, I mean.
And though Luann seems like a lovely woman, unless we're beyond gender now, I believe I am still the best person for this memorabilia since I already have a shelf assigned for it next to Henry's third bed, because we care about things. I also, as Cindy's dermatologist, am currently afflicted with some of these rashes that I have caught from her. And so I think it would really help me bring some more money for medical attention to have these beautiful memorabilia items on display.
What kind of rashes are we talking about?
I'm wearing clothes right now, so you can't tell. I don't think you want to. Do you want me to show you? I could.
I feel.
Yeah?
I feel like I need to know.
Despite your impassioned plea, I will gladly show you all nudity and rashes and whatever you want, since I would do anything for a Klondike bar, and I heard that you guys have those here.
Oh my god.
That's it.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right. Well, I think that will wrap up our will arbitration. Now I have a very tough decision to make. Okay. Lester, I'm sorry, but I cannot award you the fortune. As compelling as your reasons were as an antique collector, I just feel I feel Cindy would have wanted the memorabilia to be in use. So I'm sorry.
I understand.
I hope Henry brings you some consolation in this loss.
He always does.
Now we're between Luann and Bruce W.
Is Bruce Willis like the guy Bruce Willis who starred in the film Looper? Full name. That's the whole thing. Everything after Willis is the last name.
Okay.
Made less sense for my dad, Matt. Matt, like.
Okay. Now I do feel I do have some concerns about you because of the safety reasons with the rabbit, because of the memorabilia, and because of your history with Pansy.
Of course.
But at the same time, you present some compelling reasons for why Cindy would want you to have the memorabilia to exist along with Mr. McGuire's ashes. It makes sense. And Bruce, you're a time traveler, and that's pretty fucking cool.
I think we got it.
But at the same time, you did kill her iguana. So
Accidentally, though.
So really, you're on the same footing with Luann in that sense.
Raccoons are better, I think, than iguanas. So I'd say her murdering a raccoon was a worse crime than me killing an iguana.
I don't know how Cindy would feel about that.
I think she would disagree.
Never mind, I retract my point.
Insult to her iguana.
Oh, and on that note, I'll award the fortune to Luann.
Aww.
I don't think I had it at any point, but...
Thank you.
Luann.